What type of content or what type of videos should you have on your YouTube official artist channel or your YouTube OAC? This is an important video to make. It's going to be a very raw, unedited video like I typically do because I've gotten this question numerous different ways of people saying, hey, Mark, I want to put this type of video on my YouTube OAC. Is that good? Is that bad? Especially for me being both a musician and a YouTuber equally, I know a lot about music, of course, and music distribution, hence a lot of these videos on this channel, but also I know a lot about YouTube and the YouTube algorithm and what videos work well together and what videos don't. So the first part of this video, I'm gonna give you like a quick synopsis of YouTube theory in terms of the algorithm to make sure that your YouTube channel does the best and promotes your music the best. The next thing I am gonna talk about is basically 3 types of videos that you should have on your YouTube OAC, because I've had a lot of people hit me up saying, hey, Mark, I want to post this type of video. Is that good? Is that bad? Or should I do this type of video? What videos are best for boosting my music and getting my music heard, etc., etc. First point, let's talk about YouTube theory and the algorithm. Now, this could be hours long, right? I mean, there are channels dedicated to just the YouTube algorithm. One of my favorites is vidIQ. I have no affiliation with them, but they're a phenomenal channel about how to get more subs, more views, more likes, more subscribes, more money, more revenue, right? All this kind of stuff. But the first and most important thing in general, I'm gonna say about the YouTube algorithm is this. YouTube wants people to stay on YouTube as long as possible. That is the biggest thing. And I say that because among all the things I'm going to talk about in this video, that is the biggest thing to think of is one, YouTube wants their viewers to stay on YouTube as long as possible. So the longer your videos can keep people watching and staying on YouTube, the better off you're going to be overall. This is probably the most important thing I can say about this video. Now, I will extrapolate on some more technical stuff, but that's the biggest thing to think of is how can I keep people on YouTube as long as possible? This is why pretty much the biggest metric YouTube cares about is what's called audience retention. All that means is how long does someone watch your videos? In addition, there's other technical terms like session view. For example, not just how long does someone watch a video, but how long does someone stay on your YouTube channel? Do they just watch one video or do they binge watch 5 videos in a row, right? These are the kind of things that are very important. So the first thing I'm gonna say to you is this. Make sure when it comes to YouTube theory and the algorithm as more of a educational perspective, one, how can you keep someone on YouTube as long as possible? Second thing I'm going to say, and goes kind of hand in hand with that, is can your channel, like I said earlier, be bingeable? Will someone want to sit there and watch video after video? Because if you notice, for a variety of channels, and this will get, again, very, very tricky. I'm trying to scrape the surface here because I could do a very in-depth analysis of this. It can be tricky with a variety channel. Let's have a video about a fitness product, then you have a video about gardening, then you have a video about traveling tips. Well, if you post those 3 videos in a row, are people gonna binge watch those videos? Probably not. Some people might, because maybe they like you, maybe they also like those subjects, but there isn't really a common theme. This is why it's referred to as a niche on YouTube, and it does very well. YouTube likes to promote channels that typically are about one thing because YouTube tries to figure out through a lot of methods, what does this person want to watch right now? And what channel or video can we serve them to fit their need? Whether it's some searching, whether it's through suggested or other kind of means. And so, if like you have a variety channel, it can be kind of tricky. And the best analogy I can use is this. Look at a TV series like The Twilight Zone or Breaking Bad. I feel like, not Breaking Bad, or Twilight Zone or Black Mirror. I feel like Black Mirror is almost like a modern day version of the old school Twilight Zone. And if you think about it, for especially Black Mirror, each episode is completely different, right? And this is why some people might binge watch Black Mirror, other people won't because each episode is its own thing. However, if you take a show like Breaking Bad, people will binge watch seasons after season. In my opinion, probably the best TV show ever made. That and Dark, I think, go hand in hand. With Breaking Bad, people will binge watch it because each episode flows into the other. There's a common theme, a common thread that you want to keep watching each one. That is another way to think of your YouTube channel, right? So that being said, let me now get into the types of videos you should post on your YouTube channel. And the reason why I started with the education of the YouTube algorithm is because remember, this is not set in stone. I'm not saying you have to post these 3 types of videos. Everybody's YouTube channel is different. There are some creators that go against the typical algorithm thing of long format videos and having a thread and do unbelievable, right? So although a lot of this can be true for most people, it's not always true, and every situation is different. That's why I want to start with theory first, and then more, I'd say, nitty-gritty specifics secondly. First thing, talking about the videos. First type of videos you should post on your YouTube channel, or being more specific, your YouTube OAC, or official artist channel, is your music. This is a question I get asked all the time. I've talked about this in a few videos at least. I've talked about it a lot. You should have your auto-generated videos being on YouTube. That's already auto-generated by YouTube when you release music on DistroKid, TuneCore, CD Baby, Lander, all these different platforms. Those videos are auto-generated. They're put on your topic channel, but by this point, at least I hope, you have your own YouTube channel you've created manually, and they got merged to create the YouTube OAC. That's how it happens. Now, these auto-generated videos on YouTube, those exist, and the best way to think of YouTube Music is similar to a streaming service like Spotify, Audio, Deezer, Apple Music, etc. You should also, not only can you, but you should also upload your own videos containing your music. And it's kind of tough based off the semantics when it comes to this. I'm not talking about a full-on music video like we think of it in terms of a video of like you dancing around or whatever. If you think of like old school music videos on MTV. What I just mean is you should upload manually, whether it's using a visualizer. You could do it through, I can't remember the name of the platform, but on DistroKid, you can pay to have them make a visualizer for you. Or you can use Adobe After Effects. Or you can use Spectre. Like that's a big one I've talked about and I've done a few videos about in terms of tutorials. Or you just have the static image of your album artwork with the song in the background. Either way, the first type of videos that you should be posting 100% is your own music. Again, even if it's a standalone image and there's nothing else going on, it's just your song, you should absolutely be posting that. You won't get any confliction with YouTube. I know some people are worried, being like, shoot, well, I already have this one auto-generated video by YouTube for this one song. Can I also post that same song again, though, on my YouTube OAC? Yes. This allows you to do something called SEO as well, which allows you to do certain, I don't call it tricks, but kind of, to boost that in the algorithm. I have a video listed below in the description when it comes to YouTube SEO for musicians. It's a very, very specific video, but very helpful to get those videos heard, or being more specific, your music heard. So the first type of video, among everything, is your music. That's important. That's just unbelievably important. Second thing, and this is the second type of video I would say, and this is where it gets kind of interesting, is driving traffic to your channel in a way that still fits the music mold. What I mean by this is, for example, a lot of musicians will do maybe like music challenges. I think a good example is Alan Walker. If you go on his channel, he'll do like, I made a song in 1 minute, 10 minutes, and then 10 hours. Or other YouTube musicians might do tutorials. That's another big thing. They do Ableton tutorials or music production tutorials, right? And it depends upon the person. Like if you notice, this channel, Zigzag Production Studio, is separate than my music channel, which is just for Chero. So everybody's channel is a bit different in terms of their strategy. Like for me, I was like, you know what? I want this channel to kind of be separate from my music. Because I do, as you know, music production tutorials, but also music distribution tutorials. This one's more of a music distribution tutorials. I've done computer tutorials. I've done iMovie tutorials, right? So this channel is a blend of like pretty much technology in general, different facets, different facets of technology. So everybody's approach is different. But the second thing to say is, how can you make videos, not just when it comes to your music? And the second thing is to drive people to your channel that still kind of attributes to you being a musician that's in that realm. Like I said, tutorials are a prime example of this. Or music challenges. Or another big thing a lot of musicians do is vlogs. Like John Summit has been posting a lot of touring vlogs, for example, about him touring. All these different things really relate to you as a musician. And I think that's very important because that drives more people. Because as you can imagine, when most people go on YouTube, and this is important, it sounds very simple and almost stupid to say out loud, most people go to YouTube to watch something. I know, mind-blowing statement. So yes, people can go to Spotify and listen to your music. They can go to Apple Music and listen to your music. But if someone goes to your YouTube channel, or being more specific, your YouTube OAC, they might not just want to listen to the music per se, although they might, because they could go to Spotify for that, or SoundCloud, but they might want to watch your tour vlog or tutorial that you just did, or maybe a track breakdown, I guess similar to tutorial, but maybe a little bit different. Or they might want to watch, a video of you doing a music challenge. It's not really a tutorial, but kind of a funny, like, hey guys, I'm gonna try to make a song within 20 minutes. Can I do it, right? All these different things can really kind of contribute to you as a musician and bring more traffic to your channel because people want to watch those videos. Now, the third type of videos, which is kind of included in the second, but also I look at it as a bit different, especially from an algorithm approach, is videos that relate to your brand but are not necessarily music-related videos. Now, I was talking about before, those second type of videos really relate to your music. Tutorials, track breakdowns, music challenges, touring vlogs, that kind of thing. However, if it relates to your brand, and this, again, could be a whole other video in and of itself. It can get very tricky when it comes to branding and marketing. If it relates to your brand, and it's a video thing that really attributes to your brand and who you are as a musician, or I'm even take a step further, if it relates to who you are as a person, you should absolutely be posting these videos. A good example that I've used in a bunch of videos is someone like Dylan Francis. Now, Dylan Francis in the EDM world is kind of known as like the class clown. He's known as the class clown in kind of the EDM world. Super funny guy. He's also done some directing. He's done some acting. So he's very versatile when it comes to being in kind of the acting world and being a comedian. So on his YouTube channel, he actually has a bunch of videos of him doing comedy skits and comedy bits. Now, is it related to his music? No. Is it his music itself? No, it's definitely not. But that relates to the Dylan Francis brand. And this definitely depends person to person and artist to artist. Another good example is Laidback Luke. In the beginning of every one of his videos, he says he's a DJ and producer, kung fu artist, and dedicated dad, right? So for him, posting a kung fu tutorial or a video of him doing martial arts actually makes a lot of sense. That is his brand, right? And as you can imagine, for some people might be like, oh, I'm gonna watch this kung fu tutorial, and they're like, wait a minute, this guy's also a musician? Let me check out his music. He's also a DJ? Cool. That's happened to me. Like, say if I post a vlog about something random or whatever it is, right? People are like, wait a minute, oh, this music in the background's his music? Oh, cool, he's a musician. And this is why this kind of third type of video can do very, very, very well, is because if it relates to your brand, that's the most important thing, right? And I will talk about the videos you shouldn't post in a second. So I will say that. There's a balance to this. But if it relates to your brand, that's a good way to also get other traffic. Like, there are some people, take Dylan Francis, like I said, who maybe found his comedy stuff, thought he was funny, and they're like, wait a minute, this guy's also a musician? Cool. Same thing with Laidback Luke when it comes to kung fu tutorials, right? So if you can find a third kind of category of videos that doesn't directly relate to your music almost at all, but it does touch upon your brand, that is also another very important thing to drive more traffic. Because remember, people typically go to YouTube to watch videos, and I also feel like these kind of videos help people connect with you more on a personal level, right? Because your music is just listening, right? Someone watching a music production tutorial by you, still important, like a touring vlog, still important. But I think having sometimes that third set of videos that doesn't really relate to you at all as a musician, but more as a person, can also be a great way to create a nice personal touch, if I'd call it, for people to connect with you. Now, on that point, what type of videos should you not post? This is where it's a fine but definite line. For example, the comment that kind of sparked this video, although I've thought about making this video for a while, was made by someone who had a channel. It was a YouTube OAC. They made music, but now they do more boxing reviews, boxing tutorials, boxing videos. And they asked me, they're like, hey, Mark, I'm not gonna lie, my boxing videos are pretty much completely different than my music videos. I don't even think I'm gonna make music anymore. I'm more just gonna focus on boxing videos. And I said, you know what? I think that should be either a separate channel or don't have a YouTube OAC or remove your music, right? Because in that case, yeah, you could argue on one end, like I just talked about. If you're the boxing DJ, and there are some DJs who, like say, also talk about how they do other stuff besides just DJing or music, then that makes sense. But on the other end, if your YouTube channel is boxing, pause, and then music, and there's a huge separation, it might seem kind of random. It might seem kind of weird, and there's not really a huge connect. Now, granted, everybody's approach to this is going to be different. I think with Slushy, who's another DJ, did a review of a fidget cube, right? Now, when it comes to reviewing a fidget cube, Is that a branding thing because Slushy is the fidget cubing DJ? No. But I think for him, he's like, you know what? I have ADD, and most musicians do. I do as well. Most musicians do. I'm just gonna do this random video that doesn't really relate to my music or my brand, but I'm just gonna do it. So remember, although these are certain things I think you should follow, and if I even call it that rules you should follow, they're not set in stone. This really depends upon your approach. For me, for example, in case you didn't know, I used to have one channel, which was Mark Vacero, my name. And I used to have my music and my vlogs. However, I started to realize, you know what? I did a lot of traveling tips, traveling tutorials. I did a lot of fitness tutorials. And I realized, you know what? I actually think from a branding and algorithmic perspective that it makes sense to have one channel be just my music and one channel be just my vlogs, those kind of videos. And I separated the two, and I'm really glad I did. Now I have one channel just for the kind of hodgepodge and random assortment of content that's vlogs. Now I have one channel that's just music related stuff, if I call it that, that's directly related to myself as a musician. I'm really happy I did that. And for some people, that actually is the approach. If let's say you're someone who loves doing boxing videos on YouTube and you do music, that makes sense. But if you're somebody who's like, you know what? I'm the boxing DJ, or I'm the boxing hip hop artist, I'm the boxing rock musician, it's kind of two in the same, maybe you should just have one channel. And I think kind of one thing I want to sum up on this video, I heard this from, there's a great talk from the creators of South Park. And they were talking about writing a storyline. I think, what's his name? Venus Theory did a great video about this as well. Another big YouTuber in the music world. Where one thing they said in this talk, when it comes to writing a really good script, or just writing in general, is if you say this and this, you're effed. Because it's boring. You're like, oh, this. Oh, yeah, and this. This. Oh, yeah, and that. They say you're effed. Your script's horrible. The storyline just doesn't flow. However, if you say this, therefore this, or this, but this, or this, then this happens because of this, that's a way better approach. So you're kind of taking one concept, and as opposed to saying concept and this concept, you're saying concept, therefore this concept, or concept, but this concept, or as a result of this one concept, and now I have this concept. And the reason why I bring that up when it comes to this video seems kind of random, although I will say that is a good approach when it comes to writing music. I kind of use that now. It's like, as opposed to be saying this melody and then this melody, which is boring, I say, well, this melody, but because of this melody, therefore this other thing, and so you can kind of use this for music. But in YouTube, I think that's another thing. If you, like, say, using that boxing example again, have boxing videos and random music videos, too random to me. And from an algorithm approach, I don't think I'd do it. But if you say, hey, I have these music videos, and therefore I'm also a boxing musician, and then you kind of tie everything together, that makes way more sense. Now, one last thing I want to say at the end of the day, as one huge kind of now overarching point after all this kind of rambling I've done, talking about the YouTube algorithm and the type of videos you should post on your YouTube channel, all this kind of stuff, one thing I do want to say at the end of the day is, it is really up to you. Because I want to say, let's say you're like, you know what, Mark? I like doing boxing tutorials. And I like doing music. But I don't want to have 2 YouTube channels. I got to be honest. I have personally 4 YouTube channels, and it's a lot, right? It's a lot to run. There's different niches for each one. I have to deal with different types of comments. It's a lot to juggle. And if you're trying to do YouTube and music and social media marketing and touring and all this other stuff, as a musician now, we all know you have to wear a lot of hats. There is a point to be said, and I think this is a really important thing to kind of finish off this video with, where I'm like, you know what? If you just don't care, you're just like, you know what? Like, if there's a point where there's only so many hours in a day, just do whatever you feel comfortable with. Because there is a point that, yes, maybe algorithmically, you should have a channel just for boxing and a channel just for music. And you should run both separately. That makes the most sense algorithmically. But there's also a point where I'm like, you know what, though? If you're not trying to be a YouTuber, if you just want to do stuff for fun, if, like, say, I make 99% of my income from touring anyway, and from album sales, and from streams and everything, there's a point where I'm like, you know what? I feel like if you're trying to do too much work, it might also create the opposite effect. Well, now you're spending more time to juggle 2 YouTube channels, which takes away from music. It takes maybe even away from the creative process. We're like, shoot, I have to put this video here and then this video here. And for me, I actually feel more comfortable. I actually like the fact that I have 4 YouTube channels, because now if I want to post a video like this one, I could just post it on Zigzag Production Studio. If I'm posting a song, boom, it goes on for Chero. If I'm doing a vlog, boom, it goes on Mark for Chero, right? So I like that. But I can see some other people being overwhelmed, thinking it's way too much when you're already trying to juggle a lot of different things. So at the end of the day, the biggest thing is really up to you. All these rules are very important. And if I look at it from an algorithm approach, yes, so a lot of things I talked about are important to try to boost yourself if you're going for pure optimization when it comes to YouTube. But at the end of the day, it is always up to you.